This episode of the Citadel Cafe is brought to you by listeners like you. Visit patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe to find out how you can become a patron and help make this show possible. This is the Citadel Cafe, episode number 498 for Thursday, September 25th, 2025. My name is Joel Duggan, and the Citadel Cafe is where my friends and I hang out to talk about the geeky stuff that we're into. This podcast is available on all of the major podcasting platforms, including YouTube and Spotify. If you enjoy the show, please consider subscribing wherever you're listening to this. Joining me this week, as he often does, Stephen ESC on all the social media. Hello, Stephen. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Good. Busy. I have had very little time to do much of anything, as people will find out in our main chat today. We're going to be talking about a lot of trailers, so there hasn't been a lot of large consumption of media, at least not for me. It's been mostly little snippets of stuff. And I find, anecdotally, I am consuming way more YouTube than I do anything else. And if it wasn't for the things that are tied into Apple, like my music and my storage, and Netflix with like family members. Also, I share Apple TV Plus with family. And the fact that I use Prime Video, most of it is really shipping. Like, it's why I have Prime. It's not really for the video. Like, it's primarily Amazon for shopping. I don't know that I would have as many streaming services subscribed to as I do. I feel like I would be down to YouTube and, well, as I mentioned, Prime. I think that those would be the only two that I would probably subscribe to. I feel like I could probably entertain myself with YouTube for quite a while without missing too much. I think it would only come up with like big Disney things like Star Wars series or certain things on Netflix like Stranger Things where I'd be tempted to go back.
Right. I forgot. You're actually subscribing to YouTube?
Yes, I do subscribe to YouTube, and that is because I watch so much of it, and it's worth it for me for the $14 a month, whatever it comes to after taxes in Canada, to not have to deal with advertising, because again, I watch so much of it. And when you want to sit down to a 20-minute informative video about, I don't know, personal finance, cooking, like whatever it is you're going to learn, being interrupted by 6 advertisements in the course of 20 minutes is a lot. Like, it's just, I understand that people have to make their money. And something that I learned a long time ago from talking with Johnny, my co-host on the Spawn Chunks, was that if I'm watching a video and I have YouTube Premium, that creator still gets some money for that. So I'm not like watching these videos and not supporting people. So, and I still do the thing, like I still like and, subscribe if it's something I want to check out. If it's a content creator I want to continue to watch, or if it's just a video that I like, I'll of course like it and try to upvote it. I don't comment very much on YouTube because I'm often watching on TV, not on somewhere that I can easily type a comment. So I do tend to try to support where I can, but knowing that me watching with Premium helps out the creator that I'm watching, that's fine by me.
I've toyed with the idea every once in a while of subscribing to YouTube, but I don't. It's weird. I haven't found my YouTube groove yet. Like, I'll go and I'll watch a small thing, or if I'm interested in, if I want to look up one specific thing, I'll go and do that. But then when I go to my page, it's just filled with all that stuff. Like, I can scroll down and I mentioned last week we watched, like my boys and I, we watched To Be Hero X, and we looked up a thing on my YouTube, and because I don't use it very often, it's just full of stuff. And then suddenly, oh, you've watched that? Cool. Here's a bunch of other anime stuff. So my page just looks like it's just flush with similar thumbnails. And so I rarely go to it because it just feels like I'm just waiting and looking through so much of the same that I'm never really inspired to go look for different stuff. But then other people in my family, they use YouTube all the time as well. But it's weird. I haven't found not often drawn to YouTube.
I definitely have found that too. Like, I'll watch 2 or 3 videos on the same topic or a similar topic, and then I go back to the recommended stream, and it's like a lot of the same stuff. And one, I find that on the TV, because I'm kicking back on the couch, I will scroll through more than I will on my phone. Like I'll go through several screens of videos and start to see some new stuff. I also find that sometimes, rather than watching yet another video on the same topic or something similar, I'll bookmark it and put it on the watch later list. And so the problem there is that my
Oh
watch
yeah.
later list is huge, and that becomes problematic to sort through. But at the same time, it means that I've not watched 2 or 3 of these in a row. So then YouTube doesn't start recommending like everything under the sun under the same topic.
Right.
I do find that if I watch enough of a variety of things, I do get like a mix of recommendations, which is nice. Also, something that's good is, at least on the Xbox, going through your categories. So going over to the left-hand side and looking at gaming or music or news, and looking in through there will break you out of the videos that you've been recommended in your feed, but then it'll be a little bit more specific. So yeah, you watched some Borderlands videos if you're me, and if you go into gaming, you'll see some more Borderlands, but you'll also see Satisfactory, and you'll also see some other stuff, right? So like Minecraft
Right.
usually. So because I watch a lot of Minecraft on my personal account for research for the spawn chunks. So that I find is a good way to break out of like the recommended, oh my gosh, the algorithm is like, for example, this summer when I was looking up a little bit of gardening information for basil for a good 2 weeks, YouTube thought that was the only thing I wanted to watch was basil videos. He was like, oh,
Your new favorite thing. Allow me to shower you with
I've watched
videos.
3 and I know it all now. And everything, this is all the same video. Like it's all the same stuff. And in a way, it's like the algorithm rewards, you for watching something twice in a row. But then it also, when you've got creators out there that are looking at the algorithm and trying to make a video that gets picked up for clicks and views and ad revenue, then you've got like everybody under the sun making the same video. Like if you watch, gaming specifically, like if when a new game comes out, like there is just tons of videos about the same thing. Like, what are your 5 favorite ships in No Man's Sky? Or like what new onboarding videos, how to get rich quick in No Man's Sky. It's like, my gosh. And then like I watch a lot of personal finance stuff. There's a lot of horseshit. Like it's the same people who aren't
Yep.
accredited financial advisors. They say that, but then they just go through the same thing. Like how to save for this, how to put away money for that. And it's like, I know all this. Like, why are you, YouTube, why are you showing me more of these videos, which is the same topic and like you said, the same thumbnail? And 2, why are creators still making, like, on one hand, it's like, yes, I'm sure there's people watching it. They must be, because that's why creators are putting this stuff out. But it's like, my God, it's like it's the same information in every video, sometimes from the same creator. It's like you've got 4 different videos that say the same thing and you've just titled them differently. And that's where I'm just like, I'm out. You just like to hear yourself talk. You're not really giving me any more new information. So I find it kind of challenging with that. But one thing about spending so much time in the YouTube space is that I do have a variety of, like, I watch some home reno stuff, I watch some cooking, I watch Minecraft, I watch some streamers, I watch reaction videos. Those are some nice comfort watches. Like if you don't really want to sit down and watch the Avengers again, or if you do right now don't have access to Disney Plus,
Right.
then you can watch somebody else watch it for the first time, which is also really cool. Especially if they're, endearing or charismatic on camera, not loud or obnoxious. That kind of stuff is fun. And so by watching a mix of stuff, I kind of keep my feed at least more varied anyway.
Nice.
So what have you been up to?
Not much. Like you, I'm busy, but it's recently updated my phone to iOS 26, and I'm not sure if regret is the right word, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean the new liquid glass look is really neat in areas, but it's honestly straight up unnecessary. And personally, I feel like it's a huge step back in terms of accessibility, because so much of it is it relies on the gimmick of the transparency and how the text and things in behind warp when it comes to the edge of a search field or something like that, which looks really cool. But then as images go, like you've probably seen it and probably seen people complain about it in YouTube videos, but
Mm-hmm.
if it goes from a light background to a dark background, then your text is flipping from white to black. And if it's sort of halfway through, then it might flip to white before it's not actually on the black background, so you can't read it very well. And it's painful for me. Somebody who doesn't have, thankfully, knock on wood, don't have accessibility issues other than my glasses when it comes to vision. But it's really annoying. Or then they'll do things like add gradient around a button to make the button stand out, which then and maybe I'm being whiny as a graphic designer, but gradients are like they're one of my least favorite things. They just feel dated to me. And it almost feels like if you didn't really do the thing you were supposed to do, so you have to add a gradient to make it stand out. There's other techniques that you can use to make things more legible. And so it's just unnecessary is kind of the word that keeps coming to mind when I think about it. I mean, usability, it's got some neat stuff. Like there's a more of a focus on having the search function readily available as opposed to being tucked away behind. Often it seems like you had to swipe down from somewhere in order to have the search field pop up to go and look for a thing. But it seems to be more readily available through, at least in the native apps anyway. And I really think that's a good step, just because now you can sort of search from wherever as opposed to having to scroll to the top and then pulling down so you get the search field. It's underwhelming, I guess.
It's taken me a while to get used to the search at the bottom as well. I mean, it's good overall. It's just that you have to retrain your brain to do it.
Yeah. Oh, have you updated?
Yeah. I've updated everything to 26. The Mac was, pretty seamless, and I wanted to stay up to date and the security and stuff. And it's fine. On the Mac, I don't notice much of a difference performance-wise. I have not delved into the settings much on the Mac because I haven't needed to.
Right.
I'm not a fan of the bubbly corners. Like, all of my windows now have a much larger diameter or radius, I guess, on the chamfered corners, and it feels less techy. Like, it feels bubbly, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Like, it feels cheap.
Harken back to the Aqua operating system.
Yeah, like it feels like a children's toy. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
And now usability though, like quickly dragging something to the sides of the screen and like moving around, and I find that things like the AirPods are transferring a lot faster. The phone calls and being able to I tossed a phone call from my Mac to my phone the other day. Like, that was fast. Like, so that kind of stuff is cool. I have not really gotten into the weeds though on the Mac. I did watch like the little tip video that they showed you, and there was some cool stuff that I liked, but not a big fan of Safari. The new layouts, it's not as clear. Tabs are not as easy to sort out. And my biggest gripe is on iOS. Now, I have an old phone. It's a 12 mini, and it does need servicing. The battery has said like, you need to fix this. So the first couple of days that I had it, my battery life was abysmal because you downloaded enough of the operating system for it to reboot, but like there's a lot of stuff happening in the background for the first day or so that you've got the phone. And so the first day or so was garbage for battery life. It's better now, but it's still not amazing. Now, I would lay that at the feet of the battery needing service, not the new iOS. However, what is extremely frustrating is how laggy the phone is. Like, I can't even type in a note document.
Oh.
I'll type, and then I gotta wait to see, like, did I mistype anything? What are the letters that are going to show up on the screen? Did I spell the word right? Like, it's that slow. And then you backspace, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And it doesn't do anything. And then it backspaces like 12 in a row. He's like, I didn't want to go that far. Like, it's incredibly frustrating. And it's a note document. I'm not even doing anything fancy. I'm recording sets and reps and weights at the gym. And it's really frustrating. So I'm not a fan there. It's the same thing when you're typing in a web address on Safari. I don't like the new Safari. I think there's a way to change the way that the Safari displays your tabs and stuff at the bottom. I haven't gotten into it. I have gone in and I have changed the contrast, I can't remember the name of the other setting under accessibility, and the motion setting, because I had to, because the phone was basically unusable. just to try to use it. Even just the home screen was lagging. So it's okay to jump around. Like if I'm on something like TikTok or if I'm moving from app to app, it's fine, seamless. Bringing up a transit app, grabbing my pass, that kind of stuff. It's super fine. I do find that paying with the wallet app is really slow now. Not the actual act of paying, but bringing up the wallet, switching cards. Like if you go from like a club card, at the superstore, and then you flip over to your bank card to pay, it's not super quick. And so I find that all that stuff frustrating when like you kind of like, you're always in situations where like you don't want this to take very long because you're in line or you're at the gym and you're like in between sets. And like, I'm just trying to write this down. I don't want it to be on my phone right now. I don't want to forget how much weight I lifted today because I track that stuff. So I do find that iOS 26 to be pretty laggy on the phone. I'm considering getting a new phone anyway. I don't really want to drop $1,000 on a new phone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really feel like investing whatever that money would be to replace the battery in the 12 mini would be worth it for a 4-year-old phone. If I got that warning or I noticed that warning 2 years ago or a year ago, I maybe would have considered it.
Yeah.
I'm also keeping track, as you suggested, I'm seeing a lot of iOS stuff covered on YouTube. I'm also watching some tech reviews and watching some of the new reviews of the iPhone 17. And I don't need the latest, greatest, biggest, best. But it seems like the iPhone 17 starting at 256 gigs at entry level is like really a lot of bang for your buck as far as a phone goes. And because I've been doing more social media with clips from Twitch and clips from the Spawn Chunks and monitoring stuff on TikTok, with some of my videos on TikTok now taking off, which is good, I have been spending a little bit more time on my phone. And I feel like upgrading from a 12 mini to 1, something faster, and 2, something larger would be just like a little bit easier on the eyes and the posture and like all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, you're looking at 5 generations newer as well. So it's going to be a huge step for you at that point.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was thinking to myself, like, I have not had this phone for 5 years. But the thing is, it was new to me when I got it probably 3 years ago.
Right.
So again, like I've never been one to buy the latest greatest. Usually what I do is I wait for Apple to come out with a new one and then I buy whatever like the year or the year before is, because like it's more affordable. It's definitely enough phone for me. And usually the form factor, I want the smallest phone because I want to keep it in my pocket. But I feel like the 17 is probably not so bad. Like I feel like I could probably deal with that and that size. The thing is that on the 12 mini, I don't have a case. On the 17, I probably would get a case, and that I think would add enough bulk that it would probably be a problem for a pocket. So I don't know. I need to look into it a little bit more. So it's definitely something I'm looking into. I don't want the Air. That looks like a whole lot of problems.
It looks really neat. I would love to go into the store and actually see how that feels in person, but the thickness of the phone compared to the thickness of the camera bump just looks ridiculous. Like to me, that's an amazing opportunity to make the entire phone the same thickness
100%.
and give me a 6-day battery. Like I don't know why. Like if you can get a day or day and a half battery into something that thin, just give me a week-long battery. Just do it. I have no idea why that's not a thing, but
I know that I could make my phone flat with a case.
Yeah.
But even the little bit of a bump that's on the iPhone 12 mini, I hate it. I hate that when I put my phone down flat on the table next to me, it like rocks. It drives me nuts. I don't like the bumps. I don't like the camera bumps, which again would be a good reason to get a case on a 7, right, or a 17, because then I would take care of that. And I think the cases now are like pretty clear plastic. Like I could probably get something that would be pretty easy. And I don't like the silicone cases because they stick in my pocket. I'm not worried about the thing sliding out. I'm worried about it catching, like as I try to put it in, or like just not making that easy. So anyway, it's something that's on my list. It's not a high priority, so it's not something I'm going to do right away. It depends on how this phone performs in the next. It depends on how frustrated I get with this, because I've never been someone that subscribes to the idea that new operating systems are meant to brick your old phones so that you buy new ones, regardless of the manufacturer.
Oh, agreed.
And again, I have to say that like the battery needs service, so it's not something I can really compare apples to apples. Pardon the pun.
But
yeah. So it's one of those things where it depends on how frustrated I will get with this. to see what I do for an update. But for now, I mean, it's just gonna keep on keeping on. So we'll have to see. But it's on my list. I did upgrade the iPad Pro to iOS 26 as well, and that seemed fine. I haven't used it much. I just haven't had an occasion to, and
Right.
it seemed fine. I need to go through, and with both the iPhone and the iPad, there's a lot of things like I just need to go through and cull some apps, things that I don't use anymore, and just kind of streamline it a little bit.
I'm a bit of an app hoarder, so I get that.
Moving on to what we've been watching, we have a couple of trailers to talk about, but you've actually got a show that you've been into.
Yes. Recently, Gen V of the Boys fame, the spin-off show on Prime Video, has come back. It's I think 4 episodes have been released. I only had a chance to see 3 of them, but yeah, no, it's picked it back up. I like the Boys series. It is too much at sometimes, but overall I find the look behind the curtain into the corruption of the way things would very likely be if you had people or beings that had godlike abilities. That's just, I mean, you've got Superman, who is good through and through, but then chances are there are some that are just going to be not so squeaky clean. And so I'm not, yeah, I find it interesting. I'm not like a fan of evil stuff, but I find the behind the scenes reality of that sort of thing interesting. So the idea of Gen V, I can't remember if I mentioned on the show before, but Gen V is about basically about a university where super adolescents can go and be themselves, so to speak. So it's there's a lot of speak in it that it's tough to listen to sometimes, because depending on your view of politics and which way you lean, there's a lot of kind of jargon and overlaying of current ideologies, good and bad, from what's going on in the States right now. So it's just there's some days where I don't want to watch it because it feels like less of an escape as it is
Mm-hmm.
just a reflection of current day mentality and division and stuff like that in a TV show. But I still find it's interesting because these students are, well, the main students anyway, they're sort of finding out who they are, and then even though there's weirdness and corruption, and they're being sort of fed this corporate superhero lifestyle, they're trying to find their own way and like fight the good fight. So it's yeah, I find that interesting. So and in the first season, or I should say in between season 1 and season 2, the actor Chance Perdomo, I might be mispronouncing that, apologies, he played one of the main characters, Andre Anderson, and he died in a motorcycle accident in 2024. So sort of apparently led to a huge overhaul to what was planned for season 2 of the show. So I was super unfortunate that this character or the actor passed away, but I don't really know him from many things, so I'm admittedly just intrigued to know how they were going to work this into the storyline somehow. And they did a good job of it, but I don't know if this was part of the original plan anyway, but it sort of made the plot of season 2 very much the plot of season 1. So if you haven't seen season 1 yet, slight spoilers, or not slight spoilers, but spoilers. They've got students like in this university. You've got basically students, some students who are being kept prisoner in an area called the Forest, and so they've got to figure out what the secret is and what's happening, and they're being experimented on, and so they got captured at the end of season 1. Spoiler alert for season 2. It's pretty much what they escaped from at the beginning of season 2, and now they're trying to find out what was happening to them there, what's actually going on. So it feels a little stale in that sense. And but the character Andre actually passed away because his powers was causing like brain lesions or something like that, I forget. And so he was trying to escape and using his powers to try to break free. And then he had essentially, I think he was either stroke or an aneurysm. So they worked it into the storyline that way, which I thought was interesting. So because they didn't actually have any footage of him yet, so it's not like they could take what existed and then have a catastrophe and you know visually portray how things went afterwards. They just sort of had to tell the story. So either way, it's yeah, I'm enjoying it. It feels. I mean, I know you're not a fan of Invincible necessarily because it's the violence and a lot of that, and which I get, but it feels comparable to that in terms of the underbelly of like the dark underbelly of the super being world. So it's got my interest. So
Yeah, I don't think I finished season 1 of The Boys. Like, I think I bailed at 3/4 of the way through or something. I don't really remember. So there's a good chance I didn't finish it. And yeah, I've seen this come by, like pop by on my feed for Prime, and I feel like they're watching it on Blind Wave, one of the reaction channels that I follow on YouTube, and that's another place I've seen it scroll by, but I've not even taken an interest to watch it like via, because that's one of the things that I like about reaction videos is that if you're not sure about something, you can actually watch people, especially if you've been watching it for a while. It's like, all right, well, I tend to like the same things, and specifically, I tend to react the same way that Eric does from Blind Wave. So like, if Eric likes something, I'm probably going to be on board. He's a little bit more forgiving than I am. But I do feel like if he's enjoying something, I will probably find something to enjoy of it. But I have not pulled the trigger to watch, like a half an hour reaction of them reacting to the first episode of Gen V, right? So is it Gen V or Gen 5? Is that how do they say it?
Gen V, because it's Vought Industries who created
not
the
a
drug,
numeral.
which is
Roger
like,
that. Okay.
yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't have gotten there in the amount of season 1 that you saw in The Boys, but it's I feel like it's one of those shows where you probably would benefit strongly from having watched The Boys, because
yeah, makes sense.
Things you discover through The Boys feeds into what this story is about, and there are characters from The Boys that show up in this, and so on some level you could watch this and go, oh, they keep talking about this Homelander character who's
I remember who he is.
Yeah, seems to be the big bad. And so if you hadn't seen The Boys, you would kind of get that he is a Superman type character. But, even in this show, the first introduction to him in this show in season 1, he is all powerful and someone you just can't mess with. But that he's the opposite of what Superman is in terms of the moral compass. So
yeah, no, I remember that from the first season of The Boys for sure.
So it's like the one thing I'm not a prude, but I find that the shock, it's almost like the intentional shock value that they go for, it just doesn't feel necessary in terms of like nudity related things. It's just I have no idea why it's in there. It's in there for the sake of it being in there, and not that I like violence and gore and things like that, but when a super being with godlike abilities punches something that is close to a person and it hits them, it's a realistic portrayal, as opposed to I don't know, a lot of the standard DC and Marvel movies. There's just almost 100% lack of injury in many things, which is just, I find, incredibly unrealistic. And they're entertaining, love those movies, but very unrealistic. So not that I need things to be as graphic as they are in The Boys or in Gen V, but it's the what's the word, collateral damage for situations when soups are fighting each other it's much more realistically reflected, gore or not. It's just there would be so much more death in any of these battles than happen in typical superhero movies. So yeah, I'm liking it. So it's if you liked The Boys, then you'll like this, but it's it's a different storyline, but a lot of the same in terms of quality and type of story, I guess I'll say.
Well, my reaction channels turned me on to this the other day. I did not know this was coming, but the Mandalorian and Grogu film has got a trailer that came out on the 22nd, and it's about a minute and 45 seconds, give or take, depending on where you're watching it. It is directed by Jon Favreau, written by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and George Lucas, and is slated to release on, I don't think we have a day, but we definitely know it's May 2026. I'd imagine they're probably gunning for May the 4th be with you, May 4th release, but they might be pushing it to whenever it's ready, hopefully. Either way, the trailer is out, and it's a bit of a teaser, a bit of a trailer. Like it's not a typical Star Wars tease. Usually the teasers are really light in terms of visuals, and they're quite short, but this is long enough that I think that we got enough of not of a story, but certainly some visual storytelling with what's going on. And something that I noticed right off the bat is that he's flying a Razor Crest. Razor Crest is back. It looks like a new one. The markings on the other one were more Mandalorian style, and these are more stripes on the wings, and it looks a lot shinier and less beat up. Plus, we know that the other one blew up, so I heard and have seen some people positing that it might be like a prequel or something, but I don't think so. I think that he's just found another ship, like another model of the Razor Crest that he likes, and has picked that up, because as cool as the Starfighter was, not that practical for bounty hunting. If you're trying to get people and capture them and bring them to where they're supposed to be, there's no cargo hold. There was a little pod for Grogu, which is cute, but like really not that practical. So he may still have both. I don't know. We'll have to see how it pans out. But that's one of the key visuals. There's some cool chase scenes. I'm not sure what was flying behind them in the clouds, but it looked like it might have been TIE interceptors, but it was pretty fast. They were really narrow. I don't know if they were wide enough to be TIE interceptors. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But there are stormtroopers, there are Imperial walkers, so it feels very Star Warsy, which I think is very good. Some key takeaways for me was Zeb, the Lasat from Star Wars Rebels, is shown in a hallway kicking butt, and that looked really cool. He was in there briefly in a cameo at the end of season 3. He was the purple furry guy at the bar.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you'd recognize an image of the cartoon, I think, if you saw him as well. So there's a lot of Rebels fans out there that kind of like sat up in their chair and went, "Whoa, I saw that! Like, I see what's happening there." And of course, Rebels is of course brainchild of Dave Filoni. So like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of crossover and a lot of really good things there. There are some really badass looking sentry/gladiator droids. I'm not sure what they are, but they're massive. And there's an action sequence with Din Djarin shooting them. There is a pit fight with a Hutt. I think it's gonna be cool to see Hutts in action, and the Hutt looks
super jacked Hutt.
Yeah, he looks more buff. Like he's still a slug like Alien, but his arms are pretty mean looking. So not the fat sloth Jabba the Hutt that we are used to in the movies. I think this is going to be different. And he also was speaking basic. He was speaking English, I think, into a microphone. So we'll have to see how that goes. And we also have some of the other monsters in the pit fight, which I thought this was fun. If you watch it, because I watched it twice, you watch it closely and you remember the Dejarik holo game from the Millennium Falcon. Remember the little, it looks like chess, right? The monsters in the pit look like the monsters and the aliens from the tabletop holo game.
Ooh,
yeah, so
nice.
That's kind of neat. I'm not sure what the races are. Real Star Wars nerds will be able to tell you, but like it just kind of a nice callback. I recognized one of them immediately, and I was like, the long neck looks very familiar. Now, of course, back when you see it in the movie, they're like claymation, like stop motion animation, little puppets. But they're obviously full CG characters that are like, not life size, but like bigger than human size, larger than life size in this case. And it feels very Star Wars. There is a lot of Mandalorian vibes, because obviously you've got Grogu doing his thing, cooing and grunting and trying to move things with the Force. And you've got Din Djarin kind of doing his silent thing. I don't think there's any dialogue except for maybe, I think Din Djarin says impressive once, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. I would imagine that it's actually going to be Pedro Pascal in the suit minus the stunts, because in the TV show it's not. Pedro Pascal voices the Mandalorian, but in the TV show it's somebody else in the suit doing almost all the acting. So I imagine in the film, because the IMDb lists him as the main role, not a voice, so I'm assuming he's in the suit, which is cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm on board for more Star Wars, and I do enjoy The Mandalorian. I feel like I reviewed the final season or the most recent season positively, and like that. I think the only takeaway here that's negative for me is not a big fan of the wide shots of Grogu still being a puppet. Like I get the close-ups. I think it works. I think it's fine. I think it's actually probably cuter that he's not CG in the close-ups, especially if he's like in a sling or being carried by Din Djarin. Like I'm way more on board for that being practical. But when he's like walking through a sewer or doing any kind of action sequence, I think I would prefer that to be CG animated if they could do it well enough, which I don't know whether that was even in the cards. They went straight to the puppet, which I'm not sure I'm a big fan of. And I don't remember the name of the character or the race of the character, but they're the little techie aliens that are about the same size as Grogu, and they speak kind of broken English. And in the trailer, they're in the sewer with him. And it keeps on calling him baby, like good shot baby, because he has his little slime shooter from when he finished his Mandalorian trials or whatever it was. I can't remember what they called it in the show. But they don't give him a blaster because he's kind of like trained in the ways of the Force, and he's not a killer. But they give him this kind of like immobilizer goo gun, which is fun. And so he's using that in the sewer against some monsters, which I thought was fun. And then the other moment that was poignant is that Sigourney Weaver is in it, and IMDb has her playing Colonel Ward, and she's wearing some Rebel attire. I watched it a second time, and she's got like a Rebel insignia on the sleeve of her jacket. So there's going to be some work, it looks like, between Din Djarin and either the Rebels, or I can't remember what they call themselves as things move forward, but we're still in between like Return of the Jedi and like the new movies, so the Empire is still around, the remnants thereof, so we'll have to see where it's going to go. But it looks good. Like I liked all the cinematography, all the shots, special effects, like everything looked great as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see what's happened. Have you had a chance to watch it?
I did, yeah. It's and I agree, a lot of the visuals looked really, really cool in it. I was trying to watch it. I watched it a second time, and I tried to look at it as though it were a trailer for something I hadn't seen the TV show for, and I don't think it's like it relies on you seeing the show. I think it's not a very exciting trailer, and it doesn't really have much in it enticement wise to make you want to go see it if you don't know what the story's about, really, or that's what I found anyway. And but I mean, I'm a fan of The Mandalorian. Gonna go see this when it comes out in the theater, but it was interesting to sort of look at it through that lens, and it's yeah. But I agree. I pretty much agree with everything you said. I still, like you, have a tough time with Grogu as a puppet. Just it's almost like he's a marionette, just sort of being danced along in some scenes, and it's just I hope it's fine on the big screen when we go, or it doesn't take me out of it too much. But it's it's still a little bit more forgiving than the typography they used in the trailer.
They made some
put
odd
my graphic
choices.
designer hat on.
Yeah,
And it's like
they made some odd
the
choices.
brushed metal. Like I know it's supposed to be the Mandalorian Beskar metal, but it's just when it says on the screen where it goes, "This is the way," the words "the way" show up, and the W. Sorry, designer dork here. The W looks like it's from an entirely different font, or it's like they used normal weight W and bold everything else. It was just like for something that has as high a budget as it does, it was just like, hey Jimmy, we forgot to do the title slide. Type it quickly. Okay. Give it a brush texture on it, and that was it. Like it just felt like all the money you put into it and just that level of quality, that low level of quality on type. Just when you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. It's
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the logo either.
no, it looks like it's almost like a horror movie from the 50s kind of thing on the angle, and
Yeah, it's all swooshy, and I feel like they could just stick with the title of the film in like a yellow box. You know what I mean? They could
yeah.
Star Wars with a yellow box around it. Have the Mandalorian and Grogu be in green, sure, that's fine. But I think they could stick to something. It also has like the Mandalorian and Grogu words are 3D, and then the and are flat. They have some drop shadow to them, but they're pretty flat. And yeah, it's not my Not my favorite. I understand that they're meant to kind of mimic the serials, the sci-fi serials from like the 50s and the 60s. Like I understand what they're going for, but I'm struggling to remember the logo for the Mandalorian show to see if it compares. It doesn't look like that because I would have said something long before this, right?
I don't remember it either, but it wasn't standoutish. Like the Andor logo is pretty standoutish, but at the same time, the way it was presented on the screen, it shows up and has its moment of presence, and then it disappears and they get into it. And I feel like the Mandalorian was similar to that as well. I think it might have been clean, presented nicely, but not anything. It wasn't trying to be a thing. Where this feels like it's got, I don't know, too much flavor that doesn't match the show. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's just the straight Mandalorian. Like there's just it's Star Wars with the word Mandalorian underneath it, and then Din Djarin is like in the A. That's the logo that I'm seeing on a quick Google search. And that seems to be what they've done. It's a different color. Usually what they've done, it's either kind of like a sand color, which makes sense for season 1, or they've made the words transparent on a black background, and then the image behind is usually related to the season. So like it's a blue sunset in season 2, it's a green sunset in season 3, that kind of stuff. And then they add Grogu in season 2 and 3 next to him. In season 1, it's usually just him walking towards you with the sun behind him, right? So it's way simpler and a lot more elegant in the TV show. But again, like it feels like those B movies, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's just yeah.
What do they call it? Like, you know, just the bikini babes versus the giant carrot aliens from Mars, you know, like that.
Yeah,
kind
so
of
there's
like,
supposed to be some like bikini clad woman, an illustration of a bikini clad woman leaning off to the side with a look on her face as
100%. We've all
swamp
seen
thing
those
comes out at her.
we've all seen those VHS covers from the rental stores when we were kids. Like,
Yeah.
And like, what's this, Dad? No, not that one. Like, okay, let's rent the Terminator instead. Okay, sure. Like, just, you know, some guidance.
Wow, really?
Yeah, some guidance was, well, not that was a bad example, but I was just thinking about like
No, but I was
80s and
pretending I was the child in that scene.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch this? No, we'll watch something incredibly violent instead. Oh, then
yeah.
that must be a really good movie.
Well, the chances are they were borderline horror movies anyway. Those B movies.
Yeah,
so
true.
yeah, but I know what you mean. The other trailer that I took in was the second trailer for Avatar: Fire and Ash. The first one was just a teaser. This is a little bit more in depth, and it is coming up. It's actually going to be in theaters on December 19th, 2025. This is a longer look at the story. I'm using the word story loosely because it does not appear to be anything groundbreaking. It's the same bad guy, just in a Na'vi body. And I was not impressed with the story in The Way of Water. It was really disappointing, unfortunately. But it was a very pretty movie, and I will probably still want to see this. I'm on the fence on whether I'm going to go to see it in theaters. It was pretty good on my 4K TV at home. I have no plans of going to see it at IMAX because I don't want my eardrums to be damaged. Thanks very much. But
yeah,
I do like the world that they build with Avatar, despite the fact that it's just like Fern Gully times 10. And again, surprise, humans are evil. We're awful, awful beings in the universe, and we destroy everything we touch. I'm kind of done with all of it. Like, I don't find the message very hopeful at all. And I don't find that, oh, the parents got separated from the kids and the kids aren't doing what the parents told them, and then the kids are in their own dangerous adventure. Like, I just, if the plot could be completely erased by the kid just doing what they were told, I'm not interested. And so it feels like it's a lot of that. What I will say that's interesting, though, is the Fire and Ash aspect of it is that there's another tribe on Pandora, and they worship fire. They don't worship Awa. So there's some sort of separation from the following of the deity Awa. And it's because fire seems to be more powerful than, or they're viewing it as like Awa abandoned them or something. I don't know the details because they don't really give them to you in the trailer. But it feels like there's this separation. So we're going to have conflict among the natives on Pandora. Plus, chances are they have to put aside their differences and then fight against the common enemy because there's a lot of tech coming in and action stuff happening. And there seems to be an awful lot of the plot centering around the one human kid that was left behind. And I don't know why, because he was the worst. Like, it was the most annoying part of Way of Water. And it looks like he eventually can breathe the air and is some sort of like human Navi hybrid or something. I don't know. Again, not really an original sci-fi idea. So we'll have to see. But it does look very pretty. And there are some new flying aliens. There are some air balloons, for the lack of a better term. It's like this cool mishmash of the Way of Water, which is very aquatic, and then of course the Navi from the first movie having, I can't remember the name of the animals that they fly on, but the kind of like dragon butterfly things they cruise around on. There seems to be a mix of like getting these aquatic animals into the air and having like kind of the best of both worlds. So it should be interesting. It's some really cool design. Obviously, the visuals are just out of this world. So again, it's going to be light on story. If I go in with a pretty low expectation there, then I'll probably be okay. Probably still going to be complaining about it. So let's be realistic. But it does look very pretty. I don't know if I'm going to be going to see it in theater. I guess it depends on how busy December is, right?
True. But if you forego the theater and you get it on your TV, let me know. I'll bring the popcorn and we can take notes and plan a complain fest for the the following podcast.
And the final trailer that I saw, which will be a short mention because it's a short trailer and something I won't be able to have access to, is Wolverine, the game. This was released today. I caught it just before we went live. It looks really cool. And just like Gen V, it looks really violent. Like removing body parts and heads violent as a video game goes. It looks like it might take place over several years, which is going to be kind of cool with the sense of the character as Logan lives a long time. And that gives you also some interesting areas and different eras to cover in a video game. So, you know, there's ones with him in the yellow suit. There's images where he looks a lot younger. I think there might have been some stuff in Japan. I don't really know. It went by pretty quick. But it looks awesome. And it is a PlayStation exclusive, so I won't have access to it because I have an Xbox. And I probably won't get access for a while. It's, again, not one of those things that I would want to play on PC. I'd probably want to play it on my large TV and as a couch experience. So I probably won't have access to it. But Sony and Insomniac Games made the Spider-Man games. And that is what is happening with this one. It's the same developer behind Wolverine is Insomniac. So if people liked the Spider-Man games that came out in the last few years, then they'll probably enjoy Wolverine. It looks really, really good. The animations and the gameplay and the I'm not sure how to say it, but like the way it looks like you interact with the bad guys. Like it looks like there's a lot of really cool moves that you can do to make yourself feel badass. It reminds me very much of the Batman Arkham games. And that was a really cool system where you'd be fighting as Batman 4 or 5 bad guys at once. And all they would do is either have a button above their head or they would give you kind of like a visual indication like this guy's about to attack you. So you should press directionally towards that person and then a specific button like a parry or a block or an attack, depending on what you wanted to do, what they were doing. And because you could just like hit left and hit parry and then hit right and hit punch and then hit like away from you and hit, I don't know, whatever the next button is that you wanted to do, like sweep the leg or something. But Batman, your character, would just move seamlessly between punching someone behind him without looking and then kicking the next guy in the knee. Like it kind of went back and forth on, you didn't have to do any special complicated move. All you had to do was point the joystick towards the bad guy you wanted to punch or address and press the appropriate button at the right time. So it was very straightforward and you just felt like a badass the whole time. And it was also not gory, but like he was breaking knees. Like people's legs would go backwards. He would snap an arm. The people would scream. Like you were taking these people down for the count. And so you
Yeah.
felt really cool at that point because they were also assholes. Like they would say stupid shit to you, and you'd be just kind of like, "I'm gonna break your nose." And like it was fun. And so this looks like that times 1,000 because of course you've got Wolverine claws and he's stabbing and swiping. I saw at least a leg and an arm go flying in the trailer for this. It was wild. There's a lot of blood.
Jeez.
It's a lot of blood. So just be aware of that if you're going into this trailer. It looks like it's going to be gruesome, but probably a lot of fun for people that like Wolverine.
I'm not much of a gamer, so like this might sound stupid and naive as a question, but so when it says, or when you say it's a PlayStation exclusive, does that mean it's going to stay that way, or does PlayStation have like a period of exclusivity on it until basically they make the ton of money and then it shares it across other platforms?
So the Spider-Man games did eventually come to PC, but it was years after they were released.
Okay.
So I want to say like 2 years or more, at least for the first game, because they have to port it. And I don't exactly know all the details of what that means, but it's not made for the PC. Now, if they've learned any lessons, then they might be making this with the PC in mind. But because it's Sony and Sony owns PlayStation, they kind of want people to be on the PlayStation for it for a while. So from what I remember, it was at least a year. But anybody that knows in the chat might be able to correct me. But yeah, as far as I know, it's not something that's going to come anytime soon. And even if it does, one, my PC wouldn't be able to run it. And two, I don't want to necessarily sit at the PC with a controller. And not that I'm above playing that kind of game on stream, but it doesn't really fit my brand in terms of the kind of stuff I play, the audience that I currently have that I've built over the last 8 years. So it's I would play Borderlands because I've played Borderlands before on stream, and Borderlands is a little bit more cartoony. Like when you shoot somebody, you see more numbers coming out of their head than you do actual like really gory stuff. So
Right.
it can be kind of gory and adult, but it's also in a funny way, like a Deadpool kind of way, not in a super violent The Boys kind of way, right? Like I think
Right.
that's the line. It's that it's more Deadpool and funny than it is really violence. It's not violent for violence sake. There's always, it's a shooter, so like you're shooting people, but it's not really really grotesque, and certainly I would say not overly sexual. There's definitely some characters that like make jokes about that kind of stuff, but it's not something that's really overt a lot of the time in Borderlands. So I do have kind of a line. Plus, I just don't like. I wouldn't want to play The Boys the video game either. So
No. Oh my goodness, that would be so so violent.
yeah, like I might find Wolverine. Like if I go and watch a streamer play it, like I might find it too violent for me. Like I don't know. We'll have to see. Moving on to the Internet Minute, the Citadel Cafe is 100% listener supported. If you're getting value out of the show, please consider putting a little bit of value back in. You can become a member at patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe. Joining at any level will get you an invite to the member-only Discord server that's shared with my personal Discord and access to the Barista Cut bonus audio sessions when we have time to sit down and record those. Special thanks to our Bean Counter patrons, EclipseRM and Smurf588. Thank you ever so much for your support on this episode. Patron count is at 18. That is steady on from last month. Our goal each episode is to add one more patron. If you would like to be patron number 19, visit patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe. What is your pick this week, my friend?
I just happened upon a trailer on YouTube for a game called The Lift, and at first I didn't realize it was for a game just because it wasn't. It's not going to be true to the gameplay, but it's just sort of the cinematic teaser for what the game actually is, and the animation style looked really cool, almost stop motiony. So I didn't realize it was a game at first, but it's essentially like a first person. They call it a supernatural handyman simulator, where you basically take this lift, aka the lift, to various floors in a massive abandoned research facility to repair different things, machines that have broken down, and there's this black goop all over the place as well. You have to use this fancy sort of vacuum or cleaning tool to suck it all up, and essentially you clean the place, make it tidy, fix broken pieces, and until you get that thing up and running again. So it sort of actually, when I saw it, the actual gameplay, it reminded me of you playing Satisfactory, and while it's not building stuff from scratch. It was almost though if like you played Satisfactory and then Satisfactory 2.0 thing that broke down, and then you had to go and repair everything. It had just the way that the character interacted with stuff. It looked, I don't know, had a very similar vibe to me. Visually very pretty, and I realized the bulk of the trailer is that stop motion animation style that's not actually part of the gameplay, but even the gameplay itself. So yeah, just if you've played, one of my sons played Subnautica, and it felt it had similar vibes to that as well. So yeah, just thought it was a very cool, very interesting, and looks like it's coming out in 2026.
I wish more games would have that stop motion look because I think it's really appealing and it
Yeah.
can have some immersion and give you some more interesting things rather than having things look hyper realistic. I like the pushback right now on video games that are not trying to be hyper realistic. It's a little bit more fun. I think it's more creative. It's more art than
Yeah.
hyper realism because hyper realism is still not there in some video games, or if they try it and they fail, it just feels really strange. Like, especially my biggest gripe, which is NPC characters in video games that continue to move after they stop talking. Like they're still gesturing with their hands. Sometimes their mouths
Yeah.
are even moving. You're just kind of like, you couldn't just have the character stop moving after the voice acting stopped. Like, it drives me crazy. I have actually seen this played. I believe it was Co-Carnage that I was watching. I didn't watch a lot of it, but
Oh, really?
yeah, it has like it's not cartoony, but it has a not photorealistic render to it. It's a little bit more. It's very similar to Subnautica, I would say, in terms of like rendering and world building and that kind of stuff. But it's more of a puzzle game. Like you're walking around this wreckage of this place, and you've got to like rewire some boxes and get the door open, and then you have access to more things inside that room, and then you're having to press the button and bring the lift down and all this kind of stuff. And you're going through the drawers and finding notepads of someone that used to work there, and you go into, from what I remember, you go into some sort of cryo thing, and it's been like, there's like days since last maintenance, and it's like 3 when you first see it or something like that. But then when you come out of the cryo, everything's wrecked. There's this weird crystal stuff everywhere, and the clock says 999. So like, who knows how long it's been, right? Because it hit its limit. It can't go any higher than that because the tech in it is, it's like high tech, but it's like spark plugs and wires. It's not like futuristic stuff. It's very nuclear bunker from the 50s kind of vibe to it. So but I liked it. It looked fun. It looked like it had an interesting twist to it, and the humor was pretty good. Like, it's kind of dark, a little on the dark side. The instructions for the person that greets you and kind of gives you the tutorial, you see their notebook, and it looks like they have to say the exact same thing to every single person that comes through the door. Like, it's very, like, that's their lot in life. It reminds me of Severance in a way. Like, it has that sense of humor. It looks really cool. Like, I agree. It looks like a fun indie game, but I have not seen the trailer though. So I saw play it before I saw anything else about the game. So I'll have to go check out the trailer. It looks cool. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Citadel Cafe. You can get more information about the show and links to some of the things that we talked about at thecitadelcafe.com. Music for the show was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can email us at thecitadelcafe@gmail.com or find the show by name on social media. Subscribe for free on all the major podcasting platforms. As I mentioned, that also includes Spotify and YouTube and all the major hats. The RSS feed and the show notes are available on our website, thecitadelcafe.com, and the patron-only RSS feed is on our Patreon page. Word of mouth is the easiest way to support the show. Just tell a friend about the Citadel Cafe and where they can go to listen to it. My name is Joel Duggan. You can find links to everything I am up to online at joelduggan.com. That includes my other podcast, The Spawn Chunks, at thespawnchunks.com. It's all about Minecraft. And coming up this weekend, Minecraft Live, September 2025. We are going to be co-streaming that with Pixel Riffs on Saturday at 2 o'clock Atlantic. So that's 1 o'clock Eastern in the US. If this episode doesn't go out by then, you can also follow me on social media at Joel Duggan and find out when I do all these things, including streaming on Twitch. It was just twitch.tv/Joel Duggan, Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. right now, and then Saturday at 1 p.m. Of course, this Saturday I will not be streaming my own stuff. I'll be streaming the coverage of Minecraft Live. But these days we've been working on things like Satisfactory. We've got a new building zone happening on the Citadel and the Minecraft server. And on Fridays, I'm building that Soundwave Lego set, which has been super fun. That's actually coming up tomorrow. So it's been busy over there on Twitch. Stephen, where can people find you online?
Mostly on Blue Sky these days at StephenESC, or over on Mastodon at StephenESC@mstdn.ca.
You've been listening to the Citadel Cafe, where we are fast, easy, and cheap, but you can only pick two.